You just heard the first 3 songs of a 4-song live session from tonight's guest, Tim Lee, and Tim is obviously in the studio with us here tonight. Good evening again.
Good evening. How are we doing?
All right. I'm feel better knowing that you won't forget to make your lunch tomorrow.
Well, I will now.
Will you?
I will now, because I'm not at home with my alarm going off. They say
when the phone started going, I just kept thinking, this is what it's like when we get a really famous celebrity and the agent is on the phone all the time, and then it was you.
I just can't get away from the
But anyway, it's great to have you back in. You were the very first guest in the studio.
I was. It's come on a bit since then.
Yeah, not that much. But there's
you still need a coffee maker in here, I think, so you're not going to burn yourself on
me.
Yeah, it is at the moment, yes. But now she's burnt her leg. It'll be my turn next week. But no, great to have you back again. I think probably more has changed for you than for us since you were last here. You've recorded an album, you've started working on an album with another band, you've already started work on another album. That's quite a lot. I have a feeling you might even be writing words again, possibly, on paper, not for music, but I know you've written books in the past, or certainly written a book, and I think you might be doing that again. So loads has changed for you, but before we get on to all of that, I should say that apart from the new song tonight, your set list was chosen by Emily.
It was, yeah.
I have good taste, don't I?
You do have pretty good taste.
Thank you.
That we played You Saved Me, I think, last week, actually. It's from the current album, which is called The Hermit and the Not We, which is a great title. It's an even better album.
Thank you very much.
I think, apart from one track, which we're not allowed to play, we've played all of the other songs on the album now.
Is that the one with the expletives at the end?
Yeah, that one. No, we can't play track 9, but the rest of them we've played. So it's a great album, and a development in your sound. The first track I heard from the album was Crazies, which is actually not that representative of the rest of the album, but it's one of my favourite songs you've ever recorded, and it's you having a lot of fun in the studio, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Well, I say studio, it's basically in my garage, but yeah.
Tell people this is radio. Tell them it's your studio.
Oh, it's my yeah. It was my studio, yeah. Abbey Road.
Yeah, I think I've compared it before to Bonzo, Dog Band, a Blur, all these kinds of. It's got almost like a kind of 60s-esque, like kind of bonkers element to it.
Yeah.
Where did you write the song kind of straight-laced to start with, or did you?
I think it was similar to what we were talking about offline before. You were saying about writing songs on ukulele, and I tend to find what the instrument that you start the song on can influence it a lot, and that's definitely a ukulele song.
Yeah,
it's got that sort of jaunty sort of ukulele. I keep trying to write miserable songs on ukulele, but it's so difficult. So every so often a happy one gets through the filter.
Right, okay, yeah. No, it's not that difficult to write miserable songs on the ukulele. Take it from me. Yeah. But the rest of the album is kind of looking in on itself a little bit. It seems kind of quite. I wouldn't say confessional, but it's certainly it seems very personal. Yeah, I know there's a track on the album called Introvert, and I was trying to think. I was going to say introspective, really, but it's sort of kind of inward looking. It seems very like kind of close to home. Or am I reading something?
No, that's definitely it's something I've always tried to do with my music. Sort of for better or for worse, I've always wanted to be quite brutally honest with it. I think some of my favourite songwriters like Paul Simon and Jonathan Richman and people like that are very, there's no artifice in what they write. So, but I also love people like Bowie, who's the complete opposite, who talks in total fantasy terms as well. But I think for me, I write songs almost like a diary. So, I have to be honest with it. I don't think I could do it otherwise.
What's always interesting, and we've had this before with certain people, is that knowing you kind of outside of the music thing as we do now, because you've been in on the show 4 or 5 times over the years, and you get to know people. I know that offline you're kind of happier than you've ever been, and yet you're writing some quite depressing songs. So
well, there's the thing. That's the Facebook effect, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you're not. Maybe you're not happy at all. But yeah, I mean, you seem in a pretty good place, and yet some of the songs are quite down.
Yeah, I think everyone's a bit like that, aren't they? They struggle on some days and not on others. And like I say, a lot of my songs are diaries, and I think you tend to write your diary when you need to get out a lot of frustrations. When you're feeling happy, you don't tend to want to write it down. You want to live it.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes easier to write, I think, when you're feeling a bit down. But yeah, I've had my ups and downs this year, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wanted to write an album that was for. So I think basically starting from the beginning, when I first started to listen to music, I was a shy kid, and I think listening to music helped me feel that I wasn't alone, that I could that those songs understood me better than anyone else could, sort of thing. I'm sure a lot of people are the same. And I've always wanted to write music like that for other people, you know. So even though it's a very introspective album, the reason why I called it Hermit and the Not We, they're both terms for outsiders, and I wanted to write an album for people who felt that they were an outsider, so that they didn't feel on their own, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, so it's full of sort of songs like that where I'm, you know, plumbing the depths of my soul and all that sort of thing. Because those are the sort of people that interest me when I listen to music. I love, you know, your Robert Smiths and your Paul Simon, like I said, and people like that who don't pull any punches and sort of say it how they feel it, you know.
Yeah, and you've touched on this a little bit on previous albums, I think, as well, because you've covered a Cure track in the past.
Yeah.
Also, I'm thinking there's a track on one of the previous albums, 7 Lies That We Believe About Ourselves, which is a similar kind of theme, in that kind of trying to fit in almost, and trying to be part of something. So I mean, this is a thread that runs through a lot of your
I think that song would fit quite well on this album. It's probably the one that would fit the most on it. But I wanted to be quite sort of conversational in this album, so a lot of the lyrics aren't maybe as I wouldn't say well written, but they're more direct, and the music's more direct as well. I wanted to get back to playing the sort of music I'd play with my mates as a teenager, you know, sort of one guitar and the truth, as they say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Interestingly, there are plenty of other instruments on this album on various tracks.
It's all me.
Yeah.
Apart from the drums on some of them, which is a good friend of mine called Mike, who's in a band I play in called Brave New World.
Yep.
But yeah, apart from that, it's all me. Yeah.
Right, okay. So no chance of the
Not all at the same time.
No, well, that would be good to see, but no chance of the Tim Lee Big Band then, or?
I'd like to.
Have you ever played, ignoring the fact that you obviously were in bands for a long time, since you ploughed the solo route, have you ever played with a band?
Well, there was the Susies, wasn't there, that I used to be in Susies, was it? Since then, I think I was kind of put off being in a band, really, because I think I'm not naturally quite a confident sort of frontman type person, and I think you can make that many compromises that you end up losing your own tunes, and you're more worried about sort of pleasing everyone else in the band that you sort of forget why you're doing it in the first place. And I kind of got to that point, so I wanted to strike out on my own. Which is a scary thing to do, I think.
Absolutely. As somebody you've talked about as a shy kid, presumably
it's taken a long
introvert,
time.
Comes from the heart. So is it you that's up there on stage?
Oh, definitely.
Is it a persona that you?
No. It's definitely me. But I think it took me a long time to realise that I like my own songs. So I want to do it for the song sort of thing, without sounding too pretentious, you know. You can kind of think, oh, what should you do? Why should I be up there? I can't sing, or I can't play guitar, and my songs aren't great, or whatever. But I kind of think I come from a lot of the music I love is sort of punk songs or grunge, or that. I was lucky that I was a teenager at that time, when it was more about getting the passion out than being the coolest kid in school, or you know what I mean. And that's what I mean about this album. I wanted to make it for people who didn't feel they were cool enough to get up on stage and play guitar. You know, that, you know, I'm not what you'd expect to see on stage, for example. But I quite like that. I like the fact I'm a bit different to everyone.